Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Power Up with Joe Weaver shift update for November 2024. Welcome back, my friends. Wow. All right. Now the 3 or 4 weeks have passed. Feels like yesterday I did one of these. What interesting times it is, for sure. Some preliminary info before we get into the topics of this shift update. I want to remind everyone that I offer remote energetic clearing. You could say it. So if you're looking for an energetic tune-up and or coaching to assist you during these times of change, integrating more of your authentic self in connection with your I am presence, and or integrating more joy and happiness in your life. This is the services that I offer. The information on that is on my website, joe-weaver.com. The link is in the description below for all of you that are interested in that. Last month, I didn't have my audio hooked up correctly. And so the sound was a little bit off. I'm not sure if some of you might have picked up on that. It seems like everything is sounding a lot better now than it was in last month's update. One of the things that I mentioned, and it goes into the first topic of this shift update, that I mentioned probably about 4 or 5 months ago. I first started mentioning it. It had to do with as I was calling it, the 11 after the hour portal. And I gave examples of how to set up the reminders on your phone and so on to remind you that it's 11 minutes past the hour. And I haven't really mentioned it in the last few months, but I am still continuing with this. Not necessarily probably as many times a day that I was before when I first started for those first few months, but I am continuing with focusing on, say, love without conditions to the whole of the planet on all levels, to all beings in all forms at 11 past the hour. Of course, you all can do it as much as you feel drawn to do, but I feel it's a very important thing for us to be radiating pure love without conditions to the whole of the planet on all levels, as I mentioned, and also to all beings in all forms. Therefore, you're covering pretty much everything that exists here on Earth without conditions, not excluding, say, oh, well, those beings or these people or whatever does not deserve my love and everything else. It's letting go of those judgments and basically just radiating love to the whole of the planet. We got so many changes going on right now, energetically shifting. It's monumental how much change and different things that are currently going on around the planet right now. So I still feel that it is very beneficial for us to be doing this on a regular basis. And as the original idea for creating this after 11 after the hour portal, whatever you want to call it, is to create this wave. The more people that are able to join in and do it at different times of the day, it's almost like a continuous wave that goes around the planet. The more people that are participating, the more that it benefits the whole of us here on Earth and everything that exists here. So again, if you feel drawn to that, I think it's a great thing to participate in. So that pretty much takes us into the next biggest topic that's going around the world right now, and everybody's talking about the overview of the election, of the U.S. election and everything that is happening regarding it. I've spoken in the past regarding the political elections. I've talked about politics in the past and different updates and so on. The main reason why I talk about it is because the way I see it, the elections is it's an expression of our collective awareness, our collective focus, and where we are consciously with what we are focusing on individually and also collectively. So that's the reason why I feel like it's an important thing to talk about. I personally, as I've mentioned in previous times, I do not participate in the election. The way I like to describe the different levels of deception, different levels of corruption, different levels of manipulation and control, and for us to be able to move out of and become more aware of the different levels of manipulation that are taking place. And so, even though there are different sides and all these different things going on, there are, as I've mentioned in previous updates, there are different levels of manipulation taking place. And so it's not like one side is no manipulation, no control, and the other side is. It's not like that. There's manipulation and control on both sides currently with the election process. And so it's a matter of us just deciding what we feel individually to do. If you feel like you wish to vote and do what you wish to do within your heart, then you do that. I'm not saying for anyone to stop doing what you wish to do. My main focus is on exposing the different levels of manipulation, putting that information out, and then giving people the option to make different choices that they might not have had the idea that they even have that choice in the past regarding, where people get their information. So that's how I view things. Not everyone needs to do things like I do it. And so you do, and you focus on what you feel aligned in your own heart and what you feel is aligned with love and so on. So there's not really a right or wrong regarding all of this. It's a matter of us, this whole process of, and going into these videos that I do, it has to do with the shift. That's the reason why it's called the shift updates. The shift in consciousness. It's the shift of us becoming more aware of our true identities, our true authentic selves, our collective wholeness, and so on. Releasing the dualistic game, integrating more unity, and so on. And so that's there's a lot that goes into that. And so the political process is, even though it's a wild, dramatic, sort of like soap opera game that's currently playing out, there's a lot of things that are on the line regarding how we are going to go through the coming period of time, and people's involvement and which way we go with our collective path is deciding on, what people are choosing here regarding this election. No matter what happens, regarding who gets elected and all this other stuff, it's a matter of the way, I see it is, are we going to take the shorter path to integrating more wholeness and unity, or are we going to take a little bit longer of a path of, say, having to learn some more lessons regarding what we've been challenged with as consciously, individually, and also collectively? So it's almost like a shorter or a longer path, but in one way or another, it doesn't matter what path we're taking, the end game is more wholeness, more unity, more freedom, and less control and manipulation. Without a doubt, no matter what happens, people are more aware of what's going on in the world than they were 4 or 5 years ago, especially before COVID. It's, a lot more people are aware now of the game, of the manipulation. They know that the majority of the information that comes out through the mainstream media is not the truth. And so a lot of people, and this has to do with exposing the truth, being aware of the real truth, not the manipulated and say the agenda that is being portrayed on, to keep people swayed in a certain direction of their awareness. So everyone do what they feel and they are aligned in. And again, there's no right or wrong regarding all of this. The main thing is that releasing the fear, releasing the hate, integrating more love and sort of integration of our own awareness of what is going on regarding this collective game that we are going through. That's pretty much goes into the election, which moves us into the next topic of demand is better than regulation. This is another topic that I've talked about in the past, but I wanted to give this example because I feel it really represents how important, for more people to comprehend this, how important this is. When Trump gets elected and RFK gets to do what he wishes to do, and that is sort of regulating more of the food, the chemicals that go into the food, all of the things that, like the seed oils and so on. He's talking about regulating some of them. He's talking about eliminating some of the colorings in food and a lot of other things related to food and health and wellness. I'm not sure if a lot of you remember, but about 10 years ago is when the organic food and the organic choices became more aware of people, and more people started, demanding more organic food, less pesticide, non-GMO food. That demand for organic food started, like I said, about 10 to 15 years ago. From there, food companies then had to keep up with the demand. They started offering more and more organic choices. And that pretty much has gotten us to where we are right now. The main thing regarding regulation is, when RFK gets to do what he wishes to do, it's a great thing in a way to share more information, the reason why you might want to remove the food colorings from the food and how harmful it is to the physical body, because that information has not been really shared widely within the mainstream view. And so in a way, that's a good thing because it is spreading more awareness of what has been poisoning us for many, many years. But at the same time, if regulations are imposed and it's done through regulation, not demand, the regulations, no matter what they are or how good intended they are, it's going to cause less freedom. And so it's almost like I do see that it's going to be like a stepping stone for us when some of these regulations might actually help with eliminating some of these things from the food supply. But at the same time, it's going to cause a lot of disruption within the food, pipeline. And, when these companies, a lot of them might revolt and actually raise prices because they're being they're being told that they have to do it. It's not coming from the demand of the people saying, well, I'm going to stop buying these other ones and I'm going to start only buying organic food like we've been doing for the last 10 to 15 years. A lot of people are, because of those, there might be fluctuations in the food prices. A lot of people might revolt from that scenario and so on. And so my main point of bringing up this topic is to always keep in mind that demand is always going to be a better scenario for people when we make the choice within us to say, okay, I am no longer going to buy GMO food. I am only going to be buying organic food. Again, that is demand. When we are simply sitting back and we're not even really caring what the heck we eat or whatever else, and somebody else says, well, you can't eat this anymore. You know, a lot of people are like, well, why are you telling me what I can and cannot eat? Do you see how that actually does create a restriction in freedom? And anytime there's a restriction in freedom, that is not necessarily moving into more expanded freedoms. It's more constriction and control. So even though there's going to be benefits from these changes that are going to be put in play, I see them as only stepping stones for us to integrate more awareness of we should be looking, instead of imposing more and more regulations, to say, okay, we're going to do this now, but going forward, we should be looking how we can eliminate laws, regulations, and rules. And therefore, that's what we should be looking forward to doing in the future. Eliminating more and more laws and regulations to allow for more freedom. Freedom of speech, freedom of movement, freedom of choice of what we do with our bodies and so on. That is imperative going forward regarding our shift in consciousness and us moving into more wholeness in the world and so on. That moves us into the next topic of respect must exist. As I was just explaining regarding regulation, is no matter how good-hearted it is or what the need of it is, it does cause more restriction and less freedom. The best way to create more change is through consumer demand and people's choices. When it comes to less freedom in the world, and if we actually look into the future of us having less and less regulations, less and less restrictions on people's free will and so on, a lot of people would be like, oh, it would be rampant, it would be chaos, if we didn't have rules and regulations. And also you're talking about, you're judging people's awareness, where they are, where what's going on in the world and so on. But going forward, if for us to have a world of more freedom of choice, freedom of speech, and so on, how, say, the boundaries exist is through respect. And that's the reason why this topic has to do, respect must exist. Respecting people's free will, respecting people as a being of a human on earth, respecting their right to exist, and seeing that everyone has levels of freedom. Right now, this is really playing out in the world where there's so much constriction, there's genocide, there's people being killed over, who and what they are and so on. Going forward, respect. We must, as a collective of humanity on earth, must integrate more and more respect for one another. respect for life, say the life of other plants, animals, respect for the earth itself, not taking advantage of, say, the earth or power over others, but being more as a equal, say, individual with one another. That comes with respect. Respect is incredibly important for us to move into more, as an element for us to move into more unity on the earth, to become more aware of our collective essence of our brothers and star brothers and sisters throughout the universe and so on, has to do with respect. So I ask you all to observe yourself during these times of major change, because over these next coming weeks, months, years, it's going to be a lot of crazy, wild stuff going on. And sit back and always keep in the back of your mind, and when you ask yourself, how are we going to move forward as a collective? How are we going to move out of this dualistic game that we're currently in? It's one of the, again, essential elements that is going to assist us with building that bridge of more unity within our collective self is with respect. Respect is essential. So this respect that I'm talking about is not going to come through more rules, more regulation. It's going to become through honoring and respecting people's free will. Free will to choose what happens to their physical bodies. Free will to choose and speak and get information how they wish. It's essential. So keep in mind how important respect is during these times of change. All right, that moves us into the next topic. There is nothing more special. It is very easy for us as a human right now on earth and with our egos and so on to put people on hierarchy, or to say put what you could say is a non-human being in a hierarchy of this person or this being is higher than me. It's more important or more special than I am. Again, the ego is always looking outside the self for someone to save me or someone to do this for me, or, the list goes on and on. The ego is always looking outside the self. So the whole thing about there's nothing more special is that there's nothing more special than the wholeness of who we are as a collective. There's nothing more special. So when you catch yourself, when you catch your ego looking towards someone or something that's outside of your physical being, and you're putting them higher up to say, please give me this information. Please do this for me or do that for me or whatever else. Remember, there is nothing more special than the collective self. The wholeness of who we are, not only as humans, but our connection to nature in itself, the connection to the earth, to the universe. There is nothing, literally nothing, that is more important than the collective wholeness of everything that is. There's nothing more special. So when you start breaking out, say, this individual, this being, or this person, or whatever else, and you start putting things on a hierarchy of better, more powerful than you, or whatever, know that that is your ego. First of all, that is your ego. And there is nothing more special than the wholeness of everything that is, and to let go of all this dualistic game of your hierarchy of beings and people and all this other stuff that you imagine and see within this illusionary reality of this reality that we are experiencing. There are different things playing out right now regarding this shift in consciousness. One of the main things that is happening is how it has to do with these videos that I do. It's called Power Up. It has to do with self-empowerment. You stepping into your power to a greater degree to realize who and what you are as an individual, but who we are as a collective self, how you are tied into all that is, and remembering those connections. So when you, again, the reminder is there is nothing more special than our collective existence together, our collective wholeness of the earth, the solar system, the galaxy, and the universe together as one. There is nothing more special. All right. So, switching gears a little bit here. All right. So, speaking softly, like I am right now, means I am more spiritually connected. It means that I have integrated more spiritual power. So speaking very, very softly like this is a good indication of how spiritually advanced I am. Therefore, you are freely open to give your power away to anything I say or anything I do. So if you believe anything that what I just said right there, I slap you upside your face and say, wake up, my friends. Stop giving your power away to people that speak really softly. Because it doesn't really matter what they are saying. They are just speaking softly. That's all they're doing. It doesn't mean they're special. It doesn't mean that they are more spiritually connected. It just means they're speaking softly. That's all it is. Our egos likes things served to us like on a silver platter. If information is not served up in just the right way that our ego likes it, it will say, oh, I don't like that. That's like some kind of food that you eat and despise, and you can't even freaking eat it. So a lot of people, when they, this is some serious spiritual shit here because he's speaking so softly and he's talking so slowly. It's because this is so important. This is so spiritually advanced. So it must be some very important information. Know that the ego is an incredible judge. It always likes to judge, to say something is good, bad, that is right, wrong, that is, if it's not just in the right format, then it totally dismisses the thing, doesn't even really analyze it of maybe there's a part of truth here. Even though this person is talking in regular voice or he's talking really slow and soft, there might be some truth here, that's being spoken. So my suggestion is, my friends, it doesn't really matter how people talk. It doesn't matter if they talk really soft or we talk in a regular tone. Because it's just information. Feel the truth of the information. Don't just trust and believe people. Again, that's ego. The ego can only believe. It can't truly know the truth. And that's the reason why I continue to say, feel the truth. Build your inner discernment of what the truth is. Align it with your heart knowingness. Therefore, when people speak, it doesn't matter what they're talking about. It doesn't matter how soft they're speaking or whatever. You can feel the truth. You do not have to believe it. You do not have to believe them. You feel and know it. Do not give your power away to anyone or anything. So that's it. It doesn't matter how soft people speak. It doesn't mean they're more spiritually advanced. All right, my friends? Okay. All right. Moving into the next one here. What is channeling? This is the word of the month. What is channeling? So, as I was just speaking in the last topic regarding people speaking softly and how the ego likes information served up on like a server, a silver platter, and if it's not exactly like the ego likes it, then of course it completely dismisses the information. The main thing is right there, you as the soul within your physical body are channeling your ego. At that specific moment, you listen to your ego judging a scenario, having fear, judgment, anger, or whatever. You are channeling the information from your ego. Your ego is an aspect that's tied to the physical body, but it is not who you truly are. It is not who you truly are. It's an aspect of the physical body that you choose to channel. So the example that I give in classes is this. Is when we are born and our soul is attached to this physical body. At that time, when we are born, up through the years, probably the first 5 or 6 years, our soul is fully connected with our I am presence, which is our eternal self. Fully connected, listening. As you know, a lot of children, young children or so on, are very peaceful. They laugh all the time and everything else. They're very giving, naturally very giving to other people. So it's like it's our eternal instinct to be more sharing, more having more fun, all these other kinds of things that come naturally to us. So we are fully connected as a soul within the physical body, connected with our eternal self of our I am presence through those early years in life. When we get to about the year of 6, between the years of 6 and 9 years old, that's when we as the soul start listening more to the ego of the body. The ego has had those first 5 to 6 years pretty much learning from the environment, looking at other people, other scenarios, It's had all kinds of experiences. And so us as the soul around the age of 6 years old and so on, start listening more to the ego instead of the I am presence. And it's during this period of time that we start listening to the ego more. And if you really look at children between the ages of 6 and 9, they become more independent. They think they know everything and become more selfish in a way also. So the reason for that is because the soul within the body is listening to the ego. It's channeling the information from the ego instead of more knowingness coming from the I am presence. As we grow older, going into the teenage years and so on, with hormones and going through those periods of years where our hormone levels are changing in the body, it's extremely challenging for us to be really connected with our I am presences during those years. So it's that those years of teenage years has a lot to do with self-identity. As you know, look at most of you teenagers out there, what they focus on, identity. You know, how my perception of myself into the world and so on has a lot to do with self-perception, self-identity. That is straight up ego. The soul, again, is channeling the information from the ego. As we continue to grow older, we start then to feel the urge to get back in touch with, we have a sense within us to get back in touch with who we truly are. That is when we start getting and say, wow, okay, might get interested in meditation or different things to say, connect more with nature, integrating more of our natural self and more of our authentic self and so on. That is when we start connecting more with our, say, eternal self of our I am presence. That's just an example of channeling. And there's people that channel, of course, say other beings in other forms. But what my main focus is here is that where and how we channel information is very, very, very simple. It has to do with focus. And so when we are going through all this information that we got going on during these times of change, it's very important for us to say, become more aware of where we're getting information, where we are getting our information, and what this information is. Is it tied into fear? Is it tied into judgment of another? Is it tied into a dualistic view of the world? That's going into more of our, say, remembering who and what we are is by letting go of these beliefs, of this separation that you see in the world, all these fears and so on. When we do that, we actually have the opportunity to channel more of the authentic truth that is existing here with us right now. It gives us the opportunity to see beyond the fear, to see beyond the judgment, to see beyond the dualistic reality that we are perceiving. In order to see beyond it, you have to let go of it. So that is just a short example about channeling. It is a topic that we get into in the New Paradigm Masterclasses, where we actually go into giving suggestions on how to channel, the ins and outs of it, and giving people time, the opportunity to be hands-on with people to really experiment and to get to know what channeling is. It's something that we get into in the New Paradigm Masterclasses. So if you're interested in that, my suggestion is to attend one of those classes. My next class, New Paradigm class, is set up, or I'm setting up for around April of next year in 2025. I'll be posting more information about that soon. But these classes that I'm describing are available around the world. There's a lot of different facilitators and teachers around the world that offer those classes. Again, they're only opportunities for you to learn more about yourself. That is the main focus with these classes, is how you are connected, your own self-perceptions, where you're getting your information, stepping into your power. That is the main focus. So I wanted to provide this, say, information regarding what is channeling, because it's so simple, but so many people have no clue about what it is. So hopefully this suggestion, or say this information, assists with that. All right, that moves us into the next topic of where I get my information and the process of how I've gone through getting my information when I share in these videos and so on. Approximately about 20, probably close to 20 years ago, I started writing different blog posts or articles that I used to call them. Sort of a topic used to come to mind regarding what I was going through at that time, or say a topic that's going on in the world. And I would sit down and I would start writing regarding what, that topic is. And as I would write, the information would just come to me. Again, in the previous topic, I was describing what channeling is. So the information would just come to me. It's not like it was in my mind, like a written book within my mind. I actually would channel the information by starting to write, and the information starts to come to you. Over the years, I wrote a lot of different articles, different information regarding all kinds of different topics. And then I started doing videos, different topics, information. I was doing energetic updates regarding the changes going on with the energetic shifts of the planet, the energies, the changing energies, and all this different stuff. In the past couple of years, I've experimented with different formats of how to share information through videos and so on. And it's been in, say, the last 6 months that I have been doing the shift updates through the Power Up with Joe Weaver video YouTube channel. How the information comes through me now, or how I provide it now, is throughout the month, different scenarios or different things come up. And I'm like, that would be a good one to talk about. And then some information or examples might come to me that relate to that topic. And then I put it in the notes section on my phone. And over the month, pretty much, I accumulate a bunch of different topics that would be good to discuss during these shift updates. So I pretty much list them out. I don't really I go over them. I sort of see how they all flow together and so on. And that's how I pretty much come up with this list that is right here. And I just get started, and the information and so on just flows, and the information just flows. A lot of times, I don't even know exactly what I'm going to say regarding a certain topic. There are times that afterwards I was like, wow, that came out really smooth. That I didn't even really consciously know about that information until I actually started talking about it. That's what channeling is. I'm channeling my I am presence. I'm channeling my eternal self. It's my true identity. Of that is where I'm getting my information from. So a lot of people might not even have known about that up until this point of me sharing it. There's people in this world that channel other beings in other forms. And they say, they channel this being or this Palladians or, this being or that being or whatever. It's basically in the same way. But my main focus is channeling information from my more of my authentic self, my I am presence. And that's where my information comes from. So that pretty much moves us into this next topic of the most important thing to focus on is to know that our I am presence is the most important thing to focus on during these times of change, of this collective shift in consciousness and everything that is happening in this reality. The most important thing, if there's any single thing that I have grasped and integrated up until this point of my physical existence, is knowing how important it is to integrate the connection with your I am presence. There is literally nothing more important than focusing and connecting with your I am presence. Literally nothing. It doesn't mean connecting with any being in any other form. If there was no other beings within your awareness of any other being within existence, Jesus, Mother Mary, any being in any form within existence, if none of those things were in your awareness, the most important thing would be connecting with your I am presence. Being that we have all these different options of beings and things to connect with and channel and all this other stuff, a lot of people are like, oh yeah, the more beings that I channel, I'm a channel of about 150 different beings, and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. The most important thing, though, a lot of people look past. They overlook the importance of integrating your I am presence, which basically is connected with your divine self. There's literally nothing more important to focus on during these times, because that is your eternal self. Yes, a lot of people are specialties in channeling all kinds of beings in different forms, and they provide a lot of useful information to people. But a lot of this information is actually also distracting, because it's so easy, as I've described in previous topics, how easy it is for people to look outside of themselves for someone or something that is greater than them, more powerful than them, and so on. That is one of the main reasons why it is so important to connect with your I am presence at this time, to integrate more of that knowingness of who and what you truly are on an eternal level. So when you say that I have these guides and these assistance teams and all these beings and everything else assisting you or helping you or whatever else, put all that kind of stuff to the side and focus specifically on integrating the voice and knowingness of your I am presence. There is nothing more important right now. That pretty much moves us into the next topic, let it flow. So as I described in the previous topic of where I get my information is my I am presence. And I have been working on this for years. As I mentioned, I started getting information, writing articles around 20 years ago, doing videos, sharing information, and so on. Through the process of me actually sharing information, allowing the information to flow, is how I have actually strengthened the connection that I have with my I am presence, more of my eternal self. If I was not opening my mouth and allowing this information to sharing this information and so on, I probably would not be having the ability to share the information I have. I would probably not know myself to the degree that I have now if I was not connecting to a greater degree and allowing that information to flow through videos, through writing, and so on. So I'm not basically saying that everyone needs to do videos. Everyone needs to talk about, information coming from their I am presences and so on. There's other ways to let the information flow. You can writing in a journaling. A lot of people do that. Journaling, say the main point of your intention is connecting with your I am presence and allowing that information to flow. Getting to know the voice of your I am presence to greater and greater degrees through that writing, through the intention of I am connecting with my I am presence, more of my authentic self, my divine self to a greater degree. That is your intention. Through that intention, it opens up that information to be able to flow with greater ease. The same way, basically, if you were creating music. Of course, you can come up with a plan to create music. You can sort of take some examples and you can create off other people's music. What I'm talking about is actually when you sit down to create music and you have nothing within your awareness, you have nothing within your mind, and then you ask to say your I am presence to allow the information to flow. And then you start to creating some music of whatever instrument that is. And the information will just come to you. That's what a lot of musicians, when they have nothing within their mind, and then they basically sit down and then they start allowing the information to come. Next thing they know, they've created a whole song. And they did not have that information within their brain up until that point. So it came in, they channeled the information from somewhere. All information comes from somewhere. So the same thing goes, another example of letting the information flow is to say if you had a blank canvas and you had the painting, all the colors being able to paint right in front of you, and you had your canvas, and you cleared your mind 100%. And you say, I connect with my own presence. I'm going to share, or I'm going to create a picture that represents something that's very important to me now, coming from my I am presence. Then you start just painting, and you see whatever it is that you create at that time. The main thing is you didn't have any real information within your mind at that time. You just started allowing the information to come through. You allowed it to flow, and therefore you created that picture that you had no idea about before you sat down. The same thing with the music, the same thing with the journaling, the same thing with me actually opening my mouth and allowing the information, the knowledge of who I truly am to flow. That is how we build more of the connection with our eternal self. That is how more of the knowingness comes, and we integrate more of that knowingness is through the process of that connection and allowing to flow. It's not going to come in. This information of who and what we truly are is not just going to come in to our awareness. And for us to truly know more of our eternal existence, while we're holding on to fear, while we're holding on to all these beliefs and restrictions and these structures and all these different things that we've created around our awareness, how is that information supposed to come in if we do not take action through our intention of connecting to a greater degree with our eternal self, more of our eternal divine knowingness? It takes action. It doesn't take beliefs. It takes the knowingness of having the willingness to connect to a greater degree of who and what we truly are. So, as I've shared in this update, how and where we get information is extremely important during these days of building greater discernment of what is true and what's not. If you wish to have greater discernment, then my suggestion is to connect to a greater degree with your I Am Presence. There is no greater power or more important thing for you to connect with and or get to know to a greater degree right now than your I Am Presence, your eternal, authentic, divine self. And there's nothing more important. Find out the best way that is for you to connect and allow that information to flow however it comes to you and whatever works the best for you at the specific time. It doesn't mean that you can do painting one time, then you might make some music, then you might do some journaling, then you might freaking just start talking, and then information might come that you're like had no idea about before you started talking. Information came from somewhere, my friends. It came from somewhere. All information comes from somewhere. It's a matter of you identifying where it's coming from. Become more aware it's coming from. When your ego starts talking, you have the choice to listen to your ego or not, my friends. So, all right. That's enough of that about that part. All right. So, going into this month's meditation has to do with clearing the channels. So you can take a couple of deep breaths. You can view these. Well, first, before I even get into this, these meditations that I am sharing in these monthly updates are sort of short ideas, short experiences to assist you with your focus and what you are focusing on. My intention and probably what would be best used in these meditations is for you to take these as examples for you then to work on with yourself in your own meditation practice throughout the month. So you can work on it. It's not like you can just do this meditation one time and say, okay, it's I've done that, and you move on. You can actually take the experience that I'm sharing with you, these examples, then to build on throughout the coming weeks. And that's the reason why I do these. They're not very long. They're very short, more express, short meditations. So please keep that in mind. So, as I'm talking here, you can get focused, take some deep breaths, relax. I can slow down my voice. But just because I'm speaking very softly does not mean I'm more spiritually connected or anything. Just means that I'm talking very slow and soft or whatever. Doesn't mean anything that I'm saying is more special. It's just information. That's all it is. It's suggestions for you to get focused so you can breathe and relax. Know that all information that goes through your levels of awareness is coming from somewhere. We have a multitude of different avenues, you can call them, or channels that this information comes through. A lot of these channels and ways that information that we perceive and or integrate through our physical bodies and or awareness becomes distorted, blocked, and so on. And that's the reason why clearing your energetic systems is so essential and important. Because if the channels are essentially clear or blocked, How are you supposed to get any other information through there? How is the information supposed to be more pure if you have distorted information or energy within those channels? So there's all kinds of different ways, again, that you could view as channels. The main thing is with this exercise is to know that we have multitude of different ways that we receive information. So the affirmation that you could say is that I now clear and dissolve all of channels of my being into pure love without conditions. I dissolve all channels of my existence into Mahatma love. For those of you who don't know what Mahatma love is, that is the purest form of love without conditions that we have access to on planet Earth. That's what Mahatma love is. So, when I say dissolving into Mahatma love, that means the purest form of love without conditions. So, as you breathe, you can sort of feel out, and you close your eyes, and you feel out beyond your physical body, physical head, your physical body, beyond your shoulders, down below your feet, out into all directions, and so on. You feel and sense those areas. And as you breathe, you could sort of say, I'm breathing in information. You're breathing out information, which is true. Because when we breathe, we're actually breathing in and out energy. Within energy is information. So as you breathe and you release, you relax. And as we relax, our energetic systems relax, which allows for greater flow and for information to flow in. If we are not relaxed, how is the information supposed to flow in? So the practice would be, as you're going through your own meditation process in the coming days, weeks, and going forward, so many of our awareness, it's so easy for our awareness to say, I want this information to come in, when really it's up to you to bridge the gap, to become the bridge, to make those bridges happen through your action and intention. Connect to a greater degree with your I am presence. Through the levels of your energetic systems, again, you could make the intention, and also through the affirmation, I dissolve all channels of my being into pure love without conditions, into pure Mahatma love. I dissolve all of these levels within all levels of my existence into Mahatma love now. Don't just ask for this to be done. You command it. Command it. Do not ask. Command. Stand in your power of who and what you truly are. Your authentic divine self is already connected with infinite wholeness. Connecting to a greater degree with that level of your being means that you are simply integrating that knowingness. When we're living through the ego of separation, through judgment, through duality, and so on, we're not fully connected with our authentic self of I am presence or our divine self. Because these levels know that duality is simply a perception. It is not truly real. It's simply a perception and belief. When in reality, everything is pure wholeness. Everything is one. Everything is connected. Anything else is simply illusion. Everything else is simply illusion. So you take a deep breath and you breathe out. When you breathe out, you see all the channels coming out of your heart, out of the center of your chest. And when you breathe out, going out in 360 degrees, pure love without conditions, radiating out, clearing all the channels of your being out into all directions. And as you breathe, it just radiates out into all directions. And you reinforce that command. I clear all levels of my existence into pure Mahatma love, without exceptions. If you feel any resistance from any level of your being that basically is restricting or having fear of any of these, losing something, know that it's coming from your ego or some part of yourself that does not know who and what you truly are. Release those levels. Dissolve them into Mahatma love, into the most purest form of love without condition that exists is Mahatma love. Dissolve every single thing and element of your being into it. Breathe and relax. Just see everything just going out into all directions. Feel out way, way above your head, way out beyond your physical body. Feel if there's any places of distortion, of slugs, like darkness or whatever. To see it, this light originating within the center of your chest, going out and evaporating and dissolving all those spaces of darkness into pure light, into pure love without conditions. Therefore, there's no more distortions. Your pure openness allows you to feel and sense more wholeness, because that is your true divine essence of who you truly are. Take some deep breaths, relax, and integrate more and more, my friends, of who and what we truly are. As I mentioned in the previous topic, there is nothing more special than our collective wholeness, than the wholeness and connection of all that is within the universe. There's nothing more special. Don't give your power away to anyone putting someone or something on a hierarchy scale that is more powerful or say more connected more than you. It doesn't matter if they speak really softly or say some kind of wild stuff or do different things that you thought could not even imagine. Know that you are connected to all that is. You are an essence within the collective molecule of who and what we are. Every single thing is included. The light, the dark, everything within the dualistic scale, everything is included in the wholeness. There's no separation. So that's the main thing going for this month's shift update. For you to look back and look through these times of change during these elections, and to really focus more on how, with your intention, where we're going, these stepping stones of changes. What are we working towards? Greater unity. So what does that take? It takes more and more respect for one another and more respect for all living things within this existence. That's what it takes. Remember your power. Remember that there's nothing more special than our collective wholeness. Connecting with your authentic I am presence, your eternal self, there's nothing more important than that during these times right now. If there's and doing things to connect with those levels of yourself. So that's pretty much it, my friends, for this month's update and this information. I ask you all to share this information with other people in other avenues that you have or are able to share that may assist other people in their own path and integrating more of their own knowingness during these times of change. It's as I've mentioned in previous times, I see this information as simply choices. I'm providing the information for people to make choices. There is no right or wrong ways to make these choices. They're simply choices. That's all they are. For those people that do not wish to connect more with their eternal self and to integrate more knowingness, there's literally nothing wrong with that. Would it be more beneficial for them? Well, maybe they have more things to learn. And therefore, they're going to be on the long path back into more remembrance. One way or another, we're all integrating this at different ways, at different time scales, different timelines, and so on. So let's see here. Is there anything else? One thing, as I mentioned at the beginning of this update, if you feel connected when you see 11 past the hour pop up, radiate love without conditions to all levels of the earth, all beings in all forms, without conditions, without judgment. Not having any perceptions of something changing that what you perceive, again, that is ego. Without expectations. Just allow the love to radiate to all levels of the earth, to all beings, all forms. If you actually connect in, as the more we do this, at 11 past the hour, you'll start to see that this time period actually becomes a more powerful portal of light and love flowing during that period of time. The more you're able to participate in that and add to that love flowing, the more beneficial it's going to be to everyone and everything on the earth. So, and again, invite you all to participate, to be that love, not to send it, to be it. Be it, my friends. All right. I think that pretty much does it for this month. Again, if you have any suggestions or for future topics, questions related, anything that I have gone over, please post those in the comment section below the video. You're always welcome to email me. I am available for coaching. Again, that's through my website. For more information regarding that. Let's see. I think that's pretty much it. All right, my friends. Till next time. Cheers. Cheers and love to you all.